Hey everybody, Doug here from 2 Plus Tough. Welcome to our little hobby hangout. As you can see, I got my hobby space here ready to roll. I got my Celestial Hurricanum, which I did magnetize up. It does sit up pretty good once you get it sitting straight. Let me see if I can do that. Anyway, so we're looking pretty good as far as hobby stuff goes. Man, what with this? Did I dig something in there? Probably. Oh. Bits of plastic in there. Anyway, so we're sitting pretty well when it comes to hobby stuff. There we go. And let's see, I got this. I got the two nerds riding in it. I got the wizard on foot that came with it. Probably just going to glue that thing down. The magnet's kind of annoying, and I have a giant magnetic case to be able to transport it, so I don't really know why I did that. Anyway, welcome to a hobby hangout. I'm so glad you all are here hanging out with me. This stream is a little bit different. If you have never been here for one of my, I call them date night streams. It's nothing weird, it's nothing creepy. What this is just a chance to hang out and get to know each other a bit more. And so it's just kind of a fun thing I do every once in a while where I pull up a list of fun first date questions. 160 first date questions is today's article from conversationstarterworld.com. And essentially, I'm going to ask a question, and then I'm going to answer it immediately. And in that interim, if you would like to text out an answer, I'll read it on air and we can laugh. And it's just a fun way to share stories and have something to chat about. And at any point, if people want to talk about something AOS related, we sidebar into that, and then we come back. It's just a conversation tool. So that's all. Someone was like, "This is a little weird." I'm like, no, it's not weird. It's just prompts for conversation. And it's just to have a little fun. So I'm going to be painting up my Hurricanum here. And let's see. So I need this. What color am I doing next? I think it's smart to start with the blue, the base blue that we need. Okay, so that's Ahriman blue. Or sorry, Thousand Suns blue. And I think that's it for the bulk of the colors left. We'll know what needs to be done after that. So perfecto. See, chat's working here. Another stream. We're gonna have to whole lake at this point. God, that paint palette looks like a toilet bowl after my last bender. Oh man, I love it. I was actually thinking about doing a one of those like satisfying YouTube videos where it's just something that's kind of benign that makes you feel good, of like soaking this palette in water for like a day and then recording me peeling the paint off, because that's the kind of thing that I'm here for, because I'm a I'm a young middle-class white male in the Midwest, and that's just the weird stuff we're into. Okay, so let's see. Greetings from a hungover boy in North Carolina. What's up, Britt? Have fun nursing that. Okay, and I'm just going to give everyone a second to pile in. And I'm just going to say, does anybody have any news and stuff? I was out running errands with my wife this morning, so I haven't actually checked Warhammer Community yet. But I get the distinct sense that people are still grouchy about the lack of FAQ. That's okay. Me here on Planet Doug couldn't care less. Let's see. Awesome. Okay. We're going to jump right in. What do you do in your free time? So again, I'm going to answer and then you guys type out as you hear it. In my free time, obviously I do make sure to do some hobby stuff that's just for me. My free time has been dominated by kind of coming up with rule stuff for Legacy of Atmos. But beyond that, I like playing video games, but I'm very casual about them. Like, I've been doing a lot of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I'll just pop in for like an hour or two max. And yeah, beyond that, I love racing games with my wife. She's terrific at them. I think I want the tassels things to be blue, like they're ribbons. Yeah, that's my big one, honestly. Probably just video games. I wish I read more. I need to find more good books. I kind of got a little burnt out on Black Library ones just for a bit. Like, I just wanted a little change of pace, change of input, creative inputs. And I have not found anything that I'm super into yet. I know Jack's a big fan of Wheel of Time. I should probably check that out. But yeah, as far as video games, it's either open world stuff or games that are so far beyond popularity that nobody wants to talk about them. Like, I'm just always like perpetually 10 years behind. Let's see. What do I do in my free time? Complain that I don't have free time? Fair enough. I think that many people do that as well. Actually, I changed my mind. I want the horse blankets to be blue. I want them to match the Knight's Excelsior a little bit more. For those of you who don't know, this is just a celestial hurricanum that is meant to be like a auxiliary force for my Knight's Excelsior in Gur. The story that I have going on for them at the moment is that they are the shield of Rime Lake. If you look on the map of Gur that we have now since Kragnos came out, you'll see just to the southwest of it is a town with no lore, no descriptions, nothing, called Rime Lake. And so that's where I decided to write in my own little contribution to the mortal realms. In my head, at least. I had nothing official. I'm not as cool as Chuck from Strength Hammer on Instagram, where his Daughters of Cain character got into a battle tome. That is the highest honor there is. Let's see. I don't want to start a beef in the chat, but I have to say I was thoroughly unimpressed by Wheel of Time. Interesting. I do not know enough about it to feel a way. Because I had that same thought about Game of Thrones when it was at the height of its popularity. And was told so many times that I was wrong until the ending of that show. At which point I let loose the longest and loudest vindication ever. Okay. Okay, that'll look real good here when it's all done. It's one of those things, you have to develop a vision for how it looks when you're blocking out colors and how it'll actually look once everything's highlighted and washed. Because everything just has this like derp phase where it just doesn't look good, but that's because you haven't added any depth yet. Spezia, write, perform, and help produce music and poetry shows. That's awesome. Paint very expensive army men and read history. Recommended. Bad Days in History. Good, very quick, interesting read. I will check that out. I will check that stuff out. Just finished working on a Saturday. Oh, we're going to be really so glad this is happening. Hope yours are well. Spent 80 minutes in basing mats. I don't know what that is, but right on. I think you work in construction, right, Lee? red. Okay, so we will move on to the next questions. That's what we do in our free time. For me, mostly video games, specifically ones that are open world and exploring and stuff like that. I just love to like be dropped into a universe and have to figure it out. Like, what are the rules for magic? What's the rules for weapons and crafting and deities and all that kind of stuff? Which is honestly why I liked Morrowind and, to an extent, all of its sequels. I wasn't as keen on Oblivion, but that's alright. Alright. I'm a residential farmer, so I build houses. Nice. What's good, 2+? Hey! What's up, what's up? We're just chilling. Let's see. Question. Are you more of an indoors person or an outdoors person? I'm going to say for me, it is decidedly indoors. I am what you might call an indoor boy. Always have been. I do like getting out, especially if there's something rewarding about getting out. So when I say rewarding, I mean like hiking and there's a specific view I want to see, like that kind of stuff. I love to do, but as far as like just meandering out in the woods, nah. Survivalism never interested me. I'd much rather just like, instead of hiking across the Appalachians, I'd probably just walk down to the Piggly Wiggly and get a bite to eat. But no, never much of an outdoorsy boy. It's also, I think, partially because I've just always lived in cities. Up until the first thing I lived in that's sort of a town, probably not until college. Like, I mean, we went straight from inner city in New Jersey to parts of San Antonio, Texas. So, like, I've had exposure. Like, I worked at a summer in a camp in New Mexico just to try something different with my life, and I really enjoyed it. That's, had some great mountain hikes and stuff, but as far as like my own personal activities and what I would consider myself as, decidedly indoor. Let's see. Used to play hockey? Okay, right on. That's rad. I mean, I freaking love hockey. I mean, I don't know anything about it. It's just I don't like any sports that I would follow. Like, I don't like them enough to follow them, but hockey and soccer are ones that, like, if it's just on, yeah, I'll watch it. It's just a cool game. I mean, my mom's that way about football. She desperately wanted to have any of her boys enjoy football, and she had 3 very tall, very broad sons, and not a single one of us has any interest in football. So, or football de Americana, if you will. And I just always thought that was hilarious. Her disappointment amuses me. Anyway. Probably both, but mainly indoors. Mostly indoors, and staying up's fine. Most of my outdoor winter activity in Nebraska is dedicated to running away from the corn yetis. They'll get you. But yeah, it's just a matter of like I wasn't exposed to a whole lot of fun outdoor activities at the right time in life, because like, one does not go for a casual walk through nature in San Antonio, Texas. You're gonna get stabbed or something. If you go through downtown San Antonio on an expedition. Plus, who wants to deal with the sun? There's melanoma out there. What What are your brothers doing? Do they have a YouTube channel? My brothers? No, 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 no. So I'm the youngest. My oldest, not really in contact with him. He is his own cup of tea. We'll say that. He, very, very antisocial personality in general. As far as the middle brother, though, Greg, he doesn't have a YouTube channel, nothing like that. He is a cook. He's not a cook. He's a chef. He's like a kitchen manager. He went to the fancy cordon bleu school and all this kinds of stuff. Like he's not a line cook. He's a fancy pants one. And he's a cool guy. He's down in Texas as well. Doug as a sports announcer, like Blood Bowl. I would do that. I know Games Workshop has like never streamed a Blood Bowl game, but I would absolutely do the heck out of that if they let me. And anything I didn't understand about Blood Bowl, I would just make up on the fly, and I think that would be soul crushing for people who truly love Blood Bowl, and hilarious for those of us like myself who take it a bit more lighthearted. But yeah, hey, heads up, Games Workshop, if you give me a chance, you slide that microphone this way. If nothing else, I can pull out my deck of John Madden quotes, and just, oh, here's a guy who moves faster when he runs. Just kind of just dumb stuff like that. Or I can use all my techniques that I used in Seattle to blend in with Seahawks fans because I don't understand football. And I'll be like, oh yeah, just kind of have like little broad isms you can say, like, oh yeah, well yeah, no, we're a second half team, and like everyone kind of goes, oh yeah. It's gotten me out of trouble more than once. Yep. Probably should have done the Wolf One Gray before the blue. I just made it harder on myself, but that's cool. It's part of my process. Real one's Jack. Whose older brother is weirder, yours or mine? I'm gonna say they're pretty comparable. The difference is yours says what is on his mind, and mine is more silent. But they're not so different. My brother tends to be very quiet, is the thing. So you don't quite know what he thinks about something until he just like randomly drops a bombshell, and you're like, wow, dude, where the hell did that come from? Let's see. What are we painting? This is a Celestial Hurricanum. Let's see. If you doink the pole, at least you win. Go in. Exactly, yeah. Oh, man. My brother's last name is Greg. Do your brothers have any interest in Warhammer, or is that my thing alone? So, the oldest, no. I cannot honestly tell you of any single thing that he has an interest in, maybe aside from cigars. He's not what you would consider a fun guy. But The middle one, the guy who's a cook, not so much Warhammer. He knows it. He knows the property, but he is really much more into like role playing games. Like he loves D&D and that kind of stuff. So he's certainly a nerd, much more adjacent to my interests. But yeah, he's enjoyed games for quite a while. He's actually, when I was younger, introduced me to like Magic the Gathering and that kind of stuff, which was never really my cup of tea. But I know that he thoroughly enjoyed it for a time. How old are they? So we're all 2 years apart. So I'm 31, so that makes Greg 33, and Eric 35. If I'm not mistaken. I think, depending on the month, I think one of them has a birthday coming up here pretty soon, but we are not close as in what other families would normally define as close. And that's okay. Probably for the best. Probably for everyone's mental health, that's probably for the best. Missed that one rail up here. Let's see. Okay, next question. Who is the most fascinating person you have ever met? Most fascinating person you have ever met. Most fascinating. That's a tough one. I mean, I've briefly met like. I mean, because I feel like to call someone fascinating, I feel like I have to know them a bit more than just a passing, you know? That's a tough one. Most fascinating person. This is going to sound like a cheap, cheesy answer. I apologize, and I know it. It's definitely my wife. Overcame some incredible adversity in her life and has triumphed over it. She is incredibly inspiring. Beyond that, I'm going to say that's all I got, to be honest with you. I haven't... I tend to be someone who's like, never meet your heroes. So I don't really know. Met or became friends with? I mean, either one. The question just says met. So I would also take just cool people you've met. Fascinating is such an interesting word choice. Because it's like, I can't think of many people that I'm fascinated with. I'm generally quite jaded and distrustful of other people. With a slew of male role model letdowns in my life, I'm just like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I would ever, like, on my own, use the word fascinating to describe a person that I've met. Or rather, when I hear the term fascinating, I often think of, like, I don't know, if I were to meet, like, Neil deGrasse Tyson or something like that, or, like, more sciencey, where it's like, I just want to hear your opinion on stuff. There's a dude in my graduate program who was a real character, just like boundless energy, micro-organized, and way more successful in his research than I was. Oh, met a lot of famous comedians, friends with Amanda Knox, and she is an amazing person. That's rad. That's right, I forgot you know her. Yeah. We talked about that. If I ever met her, I'd never bring up a true crime thing, even though I'd squee at the opportunity to meet someone from the true crime stuff. But I have the social class to not embarrass myself or her. All right. Next question. What is the last book that you really got into? So we're talking chronology. The last book that you read that you were like, this thing bangs from cover to cover. What was it for me? Honestly, I'm gonna go Gloomspite. That was one where once the Bad Moon started coming up, because I mean, honestly, I haven't read too much more since then. I've been writing a lot more because right after that is when I started getting connected with the Legacy Atmos guys. I need to read some more, but yeah, man, that book was a real flippin' page turner. Once the Bad Moon shows up on the scene, I couldn't put that thing down. And like it wasn't like the best book I've ever read. It was just like, you know, if you guys saw the first Transformers that Michael Bay did, like way forever ago, like realistically, we were all waiting for the last 15 minutes of the movie, right? Where the robots are actually out and about punching each other in the face. And they made us sit through 2 hours of Shia LaBeouf to get there, but we earned it, and we got to see robots punch. I feel much of the same way about Gloomspite, where it's like, here's these really cool characters, and then in my head was just like, yeah. Where's the Bad Moon? Oh man. I'm here for the fungus. Okay, well that stream's gonna do one more quick. I got the order of paint layers wrong. I should have done this next before the blue. So at this point, I'm just resigned to the fact that I'm going to have to go around and clean everything up with the blue again. That's okay. Not the end of the world. Dark Harvest has been really compelling. I think that's next on my reading list to be excited about, like for sure. But the problem is, so does Dark Harvest have Hallowed Knights in it? I can't recall if that's the one. But it's one of those few AOS books that seems to have been getting unanimously glowing reviews. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's rare. Doug's avatar in the Bad Moon. Sorry, in the Sigmarverse, the Bad Moon, looking down at the mortal realms and recording his favorite team of Gloomspite gits. Honestly, yeah, I would do. I mean, you know, I know people are generally unhappy with the Gloomspite gits, but I'll tell you what, if I had an army of them, I could play them. I could do that. Because I'm someone that no matter how much I lose, if I like an army, I keep coming back to it. Plus, actually, I mean, now that I'm kind of like thinking about it in my head, I think I could probably do better with the Gloomspite Gits against my Soulblight Gravelord's buddy than my Stormcast, just because if I had a Gloomspite army, I would probably load it up to the gills with the Arrow Boys. And as of right now, with my Stormcast, although that'll be fixed soon, I have almost no shooting. There was an article that there is an AOS MMO in the works. I'd be interested. I'd love it, honestly. I would sit around. I'd play on stream and stuff if that existed. Like most things, someone else is probably going to actually be better at the game, but if all you want to do is watch a YouTuber fail, I'm here for you. That's my specialty. Anyone who watched the Vermintide stream yesterday can see, I think at least 3 times I ran off a cliff and just kind of did the SpongeBob meme. I'm out of here, and then just jumped off a cliff. Unintentional, of course, but okay. So now we're gonna go back into our blue, and we're just gonna clean up some of the edges. We got a little messy there. Didn't do too bad. Gonna pick up my Maggotkin book and dice soon. Nice. It's cool stuff. It's got me excited for him again. I mean, admittedly, that's partly just me being a contrarian. The observations by many YouTubers and internet personalities regarding them aside, just anytime somebody says like this is not good, I'm like, I want to play that. That's why I just talked about having a Gloomspite Gits army. Nah, it's a horror one. Okay. Wolf, Doug, you listen to My Favorite Murder? My girlfriend's super into it. Murder podcast, very similar to the last podcast on the left. I did for a while. I don't know why I stopped. I feel like maybe there was just a couple weeks where there were specific cases that I didn't have an interest in or something. I don't know. I kind of just teetered off of that for a bit. But I have listened to it. I do like them. 2 comedians just... They're not making fun of victims, of course, but the truth is most of the murderers that we perceive as these all-encompassing scary monsters are just losers. They're just losers who are broken and chose not to get help. That's the majority. There are some that are very different. And so, making fun of them, I feel okay about. Okay. Oh, what is this? It seems to be a dragon of some kind. I had been waiting for a girl like you. For Wraithbone. Where is it at? I just bought it, and if I can't find it, I'm probably going to openly cry on air. Here it is. Okay. I was waiting to finish this up because there's a few spots I need to go back over with Wraithbone. But I could not find... Pardon me. Okay, going back here. And let's grab another question. Let's see. What amazing adventures have you been on? Amazing adventures. And I'm going to say this. Amazing adventures is different for every single person, so do not feel like it's always relative, right? If you never left your house and you went to the convenience store, that's an amazing adventure. So don't feel like you can't contribute is what I'm trying to say. For me, amazing adventures. I've had the opportunity to go to the UK. That was a blast when I was a kid. It was part of a Boy Scouts reward thing for selling popcorn or some crap like that. Didn't much care for France. Not gonna lie. Sorry, France or French folks. We went on a particularly busy day in downtown Paris, and it was a lot. I got very overwhelmed. Which I'm sure, I feel like that's pretty universal amongst any tourist traps or like hotspots. Like the people who actually live there are like, yeah, you don't go down there. Downtown sucks. It's full of tourists like you. That's how I was in Seattle. People wanted to come visit and they wanted to go to the Space Needle, and you're like, ugh. Went to a desert island in Oceania filled with sea snakes. That sounds awful. Let's see. Why is today a Hallmark day? Oh, it's not. It was just me having fun with the titling of stuff. It's supposed to be a date night stream, which I kind of keep forgetting to ask the questions for. Adventures that I've been on. Yeah, those are the big ones, to be honest. Just world traveling when I was younger was real nice. I've also been to Honduras, Mexico, Canada. I feel like those don't count because they're neighbors. Although now that it's getting harder to cross the border, I feel like maybe Canada is a noteworthy trip. Canada's great. I'm just saying. You're like our neighbors. Does it count as world travel? It's like yes, but with a huge asterisk. Cool. Okay, got him all nice and clean, so that just needs to dry for a hot sec. Let's see. Great adventure for me was going to Normandy and France to look at locations during D-Day. That sounds like an incredible trip that I would be all about. Elias, you're good, buddy. Spent a week sailing around the coast of Scotland. Holy hell, that must have been so cool looking. And when I realized I started playing Warhammer when Doug was born. 89? It was a good year. The bikini was invented. Oh, what else? Isn't that when the wall in East and West Berlin came down, I think? I don't know. I was a baby. I just remember when I was in middle school, the teacher made us go to the historychannel.com and look up like things that happened on your birthday, and you're supposed to write a report about it. And so I, middle school Doug, was just like Everybody stand back. On my date of birth in some year, the bikini was invented. 'Twas a grand and glorious day. Trekked for 2 weeks through the Sahara Desert with nothing but camels and sand dunes. I don't know if I would dig that. I'm not going to lie to you. The desert has never been an exciting biome for me. Okay. Number 8 on our questionnaire. I mean, I'm just skipping around, so it's not literally the 8th question I've asked. But what is your favorite alcoholic and non-alcoholic drink? Alcoholic and non-alcoholic. So for non-alcoholic, flat out Dr. Pepper, bangs. Love it. It's the best. I love it, and I love all of the crappy offshoots that they have tried. Like if you go to HEB in Texas, there's Dr. Thunder, that kind of stuff. All of it, I love it. Mr. Pibb is probably the best alternate take of it. But that is my answer. Snake bite. Where is my Wildwood? Here we go. As far as an alcoholic drink, honestly, I'm a rum and coke kind of guy. I keep it very simple. I do not drink very much. I have no aversion to alcohol. It's just typically when I drink alcohol, I get very, very warm, like just hot. And so I tend to not do it because if I'm drinking, I'm usually out with people and I don't want to be a sweaty, gross mess. More so than I typically am, just in general. I tend to run warm. And then I get a little anxious around large crowds, and it just kind of all feeds into itself. So I tend to not drink very much, but if I'm doing it just to kind of relax and socialize, rum and coke. No preference on rum. I've had it all from fancy bottles of Kraken to Admiral Nelson, the local Midwest knockoff of Captain Morgan. And they all taste the same. I did have a discussion with my boss. My last job, my employer was like an alcohol, like aficionado. Like he loved like all the different wineries and oh yeah, this guy crafts this with all these different flavors and all this kind of stuff. He was super fancy about alcohol, and we got into a debate because I was like, I think I just buy the cheapest stuff. I buy the cheapest stuff because I always have mixed drinks, and so the flavor of any one particular ingredient kind of gets lost when you start mixing them. And he was just like, no, you gotta have this fancy vodka. And it's like, no. It's gonna get drowned in cranberry juice. It could be, nail polish remover. Have the same effect. He was not impressed. Stocking stuffer 5 Below near me has these textured silicone containers for cleaning makeup brushes. Oh, cool. Okay, we got some good ones. Cider and tea. All right, fair enough. I'm getting more into tea lately. When I had this super nasty cold, like a month ago now, Jess got me some like pumpkin tea, where it just has a very light, like pumpkin spice, kind of a chai kind of flavor to it. Oh my god, it's amazing. Let's see. Okay, this one's a little geography dependent, so just say whatever, and I'll assume it's makes sense relevant to you. What is your favorite international food? So obviously we have people all over the world. Um, International compared to me here in the good old US of A. I'm gonna say, man, I really love Thai food. If I'm at a convention with you, okay, and you're like, man, I want to hang out with Doug, but I don't know how to get him away from everybody else just to kind of hang out, you know? How do I do that? And here's the trick. Hey, Doug, do you want to get some Thai food? Yes. That is how I will be abducted. It's how I will die. And I have no regrets. I need a little bit of Rakarth flesh because there's a blue spot here that is just killing me. I just discovered pad thai. It's mind blowing. Yeah, they never had it here in Iowa before I left. It's here now since we've come back. But I first had pad thai in Seattle, and I love it. Do you guys, Willie? Do you have pho up there? Pho. German Bavarian food. So, Kevin, that's interesting you say that. So, my mom was here last week, and we went out. There's a small, one of those like historical towns. Oh, what's it called? It's not Kelowna. Amana. Amana. The Amana colonies here are like straight up German. Like, you drive past a sign, it's like, "Wolf, welcome," and that kind of stuff. And oh man, we had real German food last week. Like I had two different kinds of brats with the fancy sauerkraut, and oh, so good. My wife wouldn't kiss me for like 4 days, but worth it. Jess despises sauerkraut. It is like anathema to everything that she is as a person. I don't know why. She hates. Okay, it basically, if it's on a Reuben sandwich, my wife hates it. So it's always worth it. Spetzel, someone I know keeps suggesting how cheap and delicious pho is. I just never know which place is best. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm just personal opinion. Pho is not terribly different place to place. It's just I don't know. I mean, unless you're going to like a fancy upscale thing, I'm sure theirs is very nice. But for the average pho place, just walk in and be like, beef, and they'll hook you up. My mother-in-law hates mustard, and I refuse to tell her what's it. Oh, fair enough. Okay. Other things that I have eaten. I've had fancy French food for my prom. We went to one of those like fancy French restaurants where like every table has their own wait staff, and our prom plans were very last minute, so we just kind of keyed into what some of our friends were doing. At the time, I was supposed to be. It was either like I was going to go to prom or the state finals for competitive theater that I did in high school, and we didn't know which one we were going to. So then when we found out, oh, we didn't go to the finals, then we had to like mad dash rush to figure out prom plans. So I just took one of the girls that I was in theater class with, and we hooked up with other people and whatever their plans were. So I was like, fancy French restaurant? Okay, we will do this. It was one of those things that here's how fancy the place was, right? I don't know a GD thing about French food or cuisine or fanciness, anything. Like, there were so many forks my eyes crossed. And so I look at the menu, and I asked the gentleman who was at our table, and was like, "Hey, this is kind of what I was looking for." He's like, "Oh yeah, just a simple like chicken dinner." I was like, "Yeah, thank you for not making me feel dumb." And he's like, "Oh, it's okay, no problem." So he goes back into the kitchen, comes out with the chef, okay, the chef of a fancy French restaurant, and the chef has a pot with him, and he just opens the pot, and there's just a dead chicken inside, not cooked, barely cleaned. And they're both looking at me like, yeah, you like it? And I was, yeah, I felt like we were on the same page for a bit. And then you brought me a dead animal. Like, this is the kind of communication I expect from my house cat. I was just so confused. I was like, what do you want me to, what do you want me to do? And he was like, oh, just say if you like it. And I was like, yeah, I love it. I love the dead bird. Please go away. Okay, bye. And of course, me, just being super not classy, I just didn't understand. Oh, they want you to inspect the finer things. And I was like, cool. You want to get the dead bird out of the way of the table now? It's taking up all the room for my elbows, whatever unclassy thing I can do. Pardon me, good sir. I seem to not have only cloth napkins, and I wish to blow thy nose into one. Do you have perchance another? Just it was the best. And then so fun story about my prom. Again, we are dovetailing into side stories here. So we have this fancy dinner. I got chicken because it sounded reasonable at the time of like, I don't know what the heck any of this stuff is. We'll get something simple, chicken. Done. I loved my meal. They brought me the bird, this time fully cooked, and it was like a rotisserie chicken that was like this big, so I had to like pry it apart. It was a very messy process. I was like, cool, this is fun. Everyone at the table was having a good time. My date, whatever she ate made her like sick to the bone. So I was like, hey, no problem. Well, we can stop. I can take you home. Like, whatever you want. Like, it was a last minute thing. I'm not going to be hurt if you want to go home. Oh my gosh. Please just don't be in misery all night. She's like, no, I'll be fine. He's like, okay, well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to hit the bathroom and then we can head out. We can swing by a grocery store and, get you some stuff for your stomach if you're feeling a little upset or whatever. So I go to the restroom. Okay. Don't often share restroom stories with Doug, but you're about to get one. I go there, use the urinal. I'm wearing a rental tux, okay? And I go to zip up as I'm leaving, and the entire, I don't even know if the word is mechanism, but the zipper itself falls apart on this rental suit. Like, it didn't just come off of the zipper line, like the actual zipper fell apart. And so I was like, what? And so then I was panicked in the bathroom. I was like, well, these pants don't work without this zipper because, they're rental. They're not fitted. They don't fit well. I'm super tall. Like, it's just not working. So I was like, oh God, I'm going to die. I'm so embarrassed. So I kind of put my nice jacket over my my waist, and I walk out to the counter. There's a nice old bartender lady, and I was like, ma'am, I am having a wardrobe malfunction. Do you have any safety pins? And her and the whole staff look around. They're able to find some, and I was like, whew, first sigh of relief in a while. I go back to the bathroom, safety pin myself up, good to go. In that time, my prom date had gotten just straight worse with her stomach. And so I was like, okay, let's head out. Her name's Ariel. Let's get Ariel some much needed medication. We stopped by a gas station and hook her up with some Pepto-Bismol. And she gets the bottle of Pepto-Bismol, cracks it open, and slams the entire thing. And I said, Ariel, I can't tell if that was the grossest thing or the hottest, but by golly, you made an impression. And she did. Yeah, she was awesome. Just crushed it like it was a can of Budweiser. And I was like, oh yeah. I'm in love. It wasn't really. But, so that was quite a bit of fun. And then we went on to have a great night. I had like 6 pins in my crotch that later in the night, one of them broke loose and stabbed me straight in the genitals. That was super fun. But beyond that, it was a pretty baller night. Let's see. Who? Okay, so we got our next question here. Thank you for humoring me with my restaurant story. Who is your favorite author? My favorite author is Kurt Vonnegut. The super trippy ways he looks at life and stuff, I just have always... It's always resonated with me. Actually, Kurt Vonnegut was an important figure here in my town. Well, the town I'm nearest. The college town nearby is Iowa City. So, University of Iowa. He studied there and taught and stuff. And he was a very cool guy. Respected. He doesn't like live here or anything like that, but he went here at some point. So the city kind of holds him in high regard. Panic at the bathroom, exactly. Okay, now we're just bringing back some of the strong white color of the plated armor on this guy. But yeah, let's see. Kurt Vonnegut. What other ones do I like? I like Ray Bradbury. A lot of great science fiction short stories there. My favorite singular book, even though I don't necessarily care for the rest of the author's body of work. Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. And what are some other ones? That one actually was very meaningful at the time in my life. It just kind of captivated me. Anne Rice. Oh, she passed away recently. I was so sad to hear about that. Fantastic author. Good evening from the UK. Hey, hey! Have to go back to Terry Pratchett. Terry Pratchett. I know that name. Where do I know that name from? What books did Terry Pratchett write? There was a time I asked that question to a room full of young kids. I was in charge of babysitting at one point. I was like, guys, what kind of books do you like? And one kid with the straightest face, I was like, oh, who's your favorite author? He goes, Moses. He wrote the Old Testament. And everyone just kind of like stopped and stared at him for a second. And I was like, yeah, duh. Yeah, kid. Reel it in a bit. We're all here talking about like Lord of the Rings and stuff. And this freaking guy comes in. Terry Pratchett wrote all the okay, that's where I know him from. Yes. Doug, we all know you love Douglas Adams. I do have a very special place. Jules Verne as well has a very special place in my heart. Jules Verne, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, was the first book that I ever read, like, for myself. You know what I mean? Like, you get assigned a lot of books in school, but my brother had this old, beat-up copy of it. It wasn't special or anything. It was just like a Barnes & Noble edition, and it just kind of sat on the shelf, and still don't know why, but one day I was like, what the heck is this about? And so I picked it up, and I just couldn't put it back down. Absolutely loved it. And then from there, the reason I brought this up is, like, I realized, oh, I actually like reading. I just hate all the stuff that they make me read at school. Because I truthfully did very little to no reading outside of what was required of me before then, because I didn't think I enjoyed it. I thought all reading was like the stuff that we read at school, and I hated it. And so once I got done with 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, I was like, well, what else does my brother have that I don't have to go very far to, to access in terms of, like, getting books and stuff? And sure enough, he had Douglas Adams' Restaurant at the End of the Universe. So I kind of flipped through a few pages of it, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. So I started the whole series at the beginning with Hitchhiker's Guide, and I just adored it. Absolutely adored it. Let's see. And Terry Pratchett, yes, the Discworld stuff. I've only ever read. Are there multiple? Because I've only ever read the first Discworld, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But I didn't read anything more than that about him. Ryan, I didn't see your question. Sorry, buddy. I'm about to move to Washington. What good gaming stores are there? It depends on what part of Washington you are moving to. So, Ryan, drop that in the chat. It looks like me and Master Shake are just ready to help you. If you haven't read any of Brandon Sanderson's work, you are definitely missing out. What's his most popular book? I'm sure I've heard of it. Doug, do you like World War I stuff? Absolutely. If someone made a compelling World War I miniature game, I'd play the ever-loving hell out of that. It's historical fiction, but at the end of Johnny Get His Gun, traumatized for life. No kidding. Interesting. Interesting. Yes, I find World War I insanely interesting. I've probably listened to, the Dan Carlin hardcore history about it about 6 times now. It's just there's so much to unpack there. Give me just one sec here. My belt buckle was digging into my side. So it's the second date, because why? The pants are coming off. Okay. When we're back. Maturity increased. Okay. I live up in Bellingham, Washington. There are some awesome people in Bellingham, Washington. My buddy Mike is up there. Super cool guy. Check them out. Catch the fever. Let's see. Here we go. Next question for everybody. What is the last show you binge watched? And I mean, like, gotten all up in there binged. For me, let's see, the answer has to be Bob's Burgers. It's kind of like our emotional support show. If you guys have those where it's just like could just watch it on repeat for forever, and I absolutely love it. The 100. Oh, that's a great one. The 100. If I go silent, it's just because I'm going in for sharp details and need to do a quick, deep breath. Raised by Wolves. I think mine was Browse Burgers too. Best show from binging. In-Betweeners, okay. Constantly binge the X-Files. I tried to get Jess into the X-Files. She didn't care for it. I think, so I know it gave her nightmares as a small child. If I'm not mistaken, so just kind of didn't want to come back to it. I'm like, okay, you know what? That's fair. Have you watched Arcane? I have not. It's been recommended to me by a few folks now. The other guys behind Legacy of Atmos, the Joe and Taylor, they are super into it, I believe. And so I keep getting told, you gotta watch this, it's super cool, you gotta watch this. It's pretty unique. Also, Wheel of Time on Amazon. Yeah, we just got access to Amazon Prime stuff. So I might check that one out. I'll see what the rage is about, literal rage. Because you know if it's got nerds involved, someone's mad about it. Okay, almost done with these gold highlights. Not highlights, just the gold. Let's see. Dave on Hulu. I have not heard of Dave. All right, on. Okay. I got to get my battle tome, hit the gym. See y'all later. See you, Elias, buddy. Have a good time, dude. Okay. Mr. Spider, that's exactly what I'm talking about. If there are nerds involved, someone's unhappy. You have fallen right into my trap, Mr. Bond. I get it. It's honestly, it's no different than any other property. Once something beloved has to enter into the corporate world of like people who are data driven for ratings and stuff, works of art, they always change. The important thing is there's not generally a large conspiracy to make things woke. It's normally just pencil pushers looking at math and data, seeing what works and what doesn't. Because to think that a corporate executive board cares about artistic freedom is silly, right? They're there for money. That's why they produce things. But it's also ridiculous to say that they care about equal representation all the time just because, again, they're there for money. I agree with you, Wargame, really. Yeah, the book exists and no one's trying to take it away. So if you like it, go enjoy it. I understand, though. I understand when you get excited that your vision is becoming a reality. It's like your interpretation of a work of art. And then you're like, what? I didn't care for the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy movie. And I thought Mos Def and Zooey Deschanel did a great job in it. Though I will say they maintained a great deal of the campiness that makes Hitchhiker's Guide a fantastic series. Master Shake, that is in fact loaded. We're going to move right along because I'm here to answer date night questions, not tackle systemic racism, so... Oh, my goodness. Let's see. If there was an Olympic sport for everyday activities, what activity would you have a chance at winning the gold medal in? If there was an Olympic sport for everyday activities... For me, I'm gonna say... Oh no, what did I get? Oh, nothing. Cool. I dropped the model and the only part that the gold paint hit was the part that I'm gonna paint gold in a second, the sword. Walk past the dishes unbothered. Oh, yeah. See, I was going to say, like, I guess for me, maybe directions. I'm very good with directions. Everything from street directions of, like, where to find stuff to memorizing how to get to a certain place, even if you don't know the street address, to... plotting out the most efficient course in the grocery store, which is why I do all the grocery shopping and my wife stays in the car. Partially because of social anxiety and partially because I know how to get in and out of there in no time. But yeah, my ability to ignore trash and dishes is pretty commendable. Arbitrary amounts of time passing. We sit in a room with no clocks. I can always randomly guess how much time has passed. Oh, that actually is an interesting skill. Because I'm going to say my internal chronometer is busted AF. I'll be sitting there and be like, man, it's been a great visit. Doug, it's only been 20 minutes. Shoot. And then, then I'll start getting into the conversation because I figure we're going to be there for a while. All of a sudden, boom, 4 hours has passed. We're like, son of a gun. Okay, got that. We're getting there. Not much left to her. Let's see. What kind of music do you never get tired of? For me, it is a lo-fi. I almost perpetually have lo-fi playing in the background because I like having some sound but nothing distracting. Like I won't just listen to music with lyrics, for example. See here. Getting wildly off topic on something. Yeah, dude. Old school hip hop. Nice. You have a favorite artist? So the local brand of supermarket here, Hy-Vee, did a licensing deal with Mark Wahlberg and have transformed all of their restaurants in them into what are called Wahlburgers, which are literally just Mark Wahlberg themed restaurants. And if you're thinking, Doug, that sounds stupid, the answer is, it is. And it's amazing. And the reason I bring this up is because every time I see his face, I just think, you're Marky Mark. What are you doing with all this, trying to act all fancy? Anything out of post-2008 country. Wow. that is specific. I'm not even mad. I'm actually impressed. Could never do country. I remember when I was a child, my mother this week reminded me of it as one of the, those things where like we all have stuff where your parents just continuously bring up a thing you did when you were a kid just to like hold it against you. Jokingly, of course, with love. Her thing is we went to a Garth Brooks concert and I fell asleep throughout the entire thing. Like, literally the entire thing. How dare you speak down upon Wahlburgers? It's good. I mean, we literally just went there for breakfast this morning. We're there probably once a week. Me and Jess like it because we used to go to Perkins to have like a nice sit-down breakfast. And then our Perkins burned. Like some fire broke out in it. And so obviously can't go there right now. And so we were like, man, I wish there was another restaurant. And then randomly Jess had a phone conference and I was like, I'm just going to get out of the house for a little bit. And I sauntered into our local Wahlburgers and had a wonderful lunch. So now we go there all the time. sea shanties in your... Oh, that's awesome. Okay. What are some obscure things? Now let's rule out Warhammer for the time being, right? Anything Warhammer specifically related. It can be other games, but what are some obscure things that you are or were really into? So I have a good one for this. I, at one point, became deeply obsessed with RC helicopters. Helicopters and cars, because I had multiple cars. And, like, I became a man obsessed when it came to, specifically with the cars, how different types of oil and pistons created different kinds of bounce for the shocks. Basically, it was the first time I learned like how shocks work on a vehicle, and of course it's a micro version of that, but I found it deeply interesting nonetheless. That if you use different weights of oil, you can get different kinds of bounce and resistance, and you can change your car up and then put the tires on and then watch it be different in real time was super cool because it made it like a fun play around aspect. So there was like a good 2 months that the FBI agent that I'm sure is assigned to me was like, wow, man, Doug's really into RC stuff. That, and of course, you know, true crime. I love criminal psychology. That kind of stuff. What else was there? Suspicious how desperate for business is this pop-up Wahlburgers? There's always people there. Let's see. Right now, wait, I missed something. Wargamer Willie, hey Doug, just out of curiosity, not trying to get into a touchy area, but what are your thoughts on weed? It's legal in Ontario. Interesting question for a YouTuber about Warhammer. I'm gonna say my personal opinion. That's all this is. Everybody's entitled to their own. Do as thou will is the hold of the law. For me personally, I think it's wonderful. I don't use it to escape life. I don't. Well, I didn't. I haven't since we moved from Seattle where it was legal. I don't know. I know Illinois, our neighbor. It's legal for recreational use there. They've had a lot of tax revenue from it. I think there's a lot of good benefits. I think the downsides are pretty minimal in terms of law enforcement. Like, it doesn't lead to the same amount of violent crime every year as like alcohol does, and that kind of. There's just a whole bunch of reasons, but I have no problem with it. Jess and I mostly used it as, I mean, quite honestly, like a mental health thing. We would just, at the end of the day, take 1 or 2 hits from a cartridge, just relax, kind of soak in the world. But like, we weren't perpetually stoned or anything like that. It was just to unwind. It helped a lot when she took some time to go into a mental health center to work on some things in her past, and it really helped after that to be able to like numb you just enough to deconstruct some of the crap you've dealt with in your life and kind of absorb it. And so it's one of those things I typically would say that you get out of it what you put into it. If you just want to relax and not be burdened by the world for just a little bit, which we could all use a little bit of. And so I oscillate between that very reasonable stance and the fact that in the book Brave New World, they basically, the police force gas canisters people with what is essentially weed to chill everybody out. I'm like, man, we need that, bro. What did I miss? Oh, we're talking cannabis here in the Mortal Realms. Okay. Oh, I missed this side. Sweet. Okay, so now we're darkening all those areas up. We're going to go back and clean them just a smidge. All right. Blaze Sigmar's comment. Brave New World is terrifying. Yes, it is. It is actually quite. It is. I'm gonna say the most terrifying dystopia that I can imagine. Ooh, favorite superpower. JDV Chaos asked the next question. Thank you guys so much for my compliment on my dragon. Still a work in progress. Favorite superpower. I have an interesting one. Okay, and I said this to my buddy Jeremy, who kicks my face with Soul Blight all the time. He has this collection of like the old 90s X-Men figures on his wall, and they look incredible. It's immaculate. It's a triumph of nerddom. And so he was asking me, okay, what if you could have a power, what would it be? And I said, here's the answer. Jubilee. Okay, if you don't know, X-Men, Jubilee, young girl, yellow jacket, and all she can do is like make fireworks kind of appear and like flash and distract people. But here's the thing. Here's why Jubilee is the single greatest comic book character, okay? She is powerful enough to be part of the X-Men, that she has some innate ability that if it's not handled responsibly could cause destruction, right? She can blind people who are moving volatile things and then they can crash and explode. She can detonate a reactor if she's too close to it because she can make things unstable. All that kind of stuff. So she does have power, but it is of such minor consequence power that nobody asks Jubilee to do anything. And that to me, friends, you want to talk about a superpower. Having the ability to be important enough to be dangerous, but so minor of a character that nobody demands anything from you, that is perfection. Like, you know, Wolverine can survive anything. Well, of course, he's always going to go on every mission. Why? Because it's never not a good idea to have someone who's immune to damage on your team. What are you going to ask Jubilee to do, right? Sparkle party, sparkle party. You know, that's basically it. Somebody cuts you off in traffic, boom, firework in the back of their car, distract them and they have to pull over. You know what I mean? You can just mess with people. It's awesome. Jubilee is the best. Fight me. So I'll give a time here for everybody else. What is your answers? What do you think the best superhero powers would be? For me, it's that combination of power but no responsibility. Lazy Burn. Franklin Richards. I don't know who that is. I will admit I'm not the biggest comic book guy. Deadpool abilities. Okay, yeah. I was always fascinated by DBZ, the little alien who could stop time when he held his breath. Oh, yeah! Yeah, are they still making that show? I love Dragon Ball Z, and I was so into it until I feel like the Cell Saga was the last one for me, because I feel like that was a completion of Gohan's character arc, and so I was happy to end it there. Has powers that make Dr. Manhattan look sad. The whole Ginyu Force? Yes, the whole Ginyu Force was awesome. Yeah, for the record, if I ever start a superhero team, we're going to have the most awesome uniforms. Like the Ginyu Force, which is basically just Zap Brannigan, but with more confidence somehow. All right, next question here. Batman powers, billions of dollars. Good news, Betsy. Yeah, this is America. You can get that just by selling your soul and being bad to people. That was a joke. That was a joke. Okay. What fad did you never understand? All right. Truth time. Jinko jeans. Never got them. They never looked comfortable. I saw so many kids just falling over wearing them. And I'm sorry if you feel called out about that. Planking and pog. Oh yeah, parkour, Funko Pops, fidget spinners, pogs. Does Pokemon count as a fad? No, because Pokemon is technically a way of life. Yes, it counts as a fad. Yeah, I can call it a fad. Yeah, I would do that. I will admit, I was, and to a less small extent when it comes to the nostalgia factor of the originals, was and am a Pokemon boy. Digimon was the one where I was like, what are we even doing here, guys? That's not true. I like the first season of Digimon. The OG one. They lost me anything past that. I think their big downfall was having to have Mon at the end of every single creature, and you're like, why? Why are we doing this to ourselves? You didn't have to do this. You chose this. Plastic wristband with one word on it? Oh, like the little rubbery ones, like Live Strong or whatever. Let's see. Pokemon spans 30 years of interest. It's an entity now. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, Funko Pops. I never got Funko Pops. I had one that was nice. Like somebody gave it to me. Um, but I never. I'm not much of a collector of things. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't just get Beanie Babies, which is another thing I never understood. I remember like I had some because my mom was friends with people who were like, oh yeah, kids really like these right now, and so they got them for me as a gift. I was like, cool, thanks. Thanks. Thanks a lot for this tiny wolf man that I'm not supposed to apparently play with because it's going to pay for college? So there you go. That's everything I know about taking paint directly from the pot, no thinning, mad lad. I with these privateer press paints, I use a different kind of thinner. I use like a thicker like medium thing, and I actually pour it directly in there and just shake it up because I only ever use it on the P3 paints. So it is thinned. It's just thinned in the bottle. But I do regularly use things straight from the bottle anyway. So your shame is well placed. I'm not a collector of things. That's why he used to change army each month. Exactly, yes, yes. I don't have a Stormcast collection. I have, a set of pieces that may or may not form a collection. You ever seen that divorce court photo? Yes, I have seen that when they're dividing up the Beanie Babies. Yes. For retirement reasons, I assume. There's just this one tiny streak where he's missing a little bit of blue. There we go. Pre-thinned pots, 2+, perfect for anything. Yeah, well, so I used to use a lot of P3 paints, but they became harder and harder to find up in the Seattle area because people just stopped carrying them because Privateer Press just wasn't doing a whole lot. And so I grabbed up the ones that I like. I really like the Menoth colors, the base and the highlight for this. And they're already very thin, translucent paints. And so I bought all the ones that I like, and I just immediately poured a whole bunch of thinner inside of them. I was like, cool, done. And yes, Willie is correct. I am much more of a mover and shaker. I'm a hustler, not a kind of, not a collector. Okay. Right now, if you have a smartphone, here's the next question. What's your favorite app on your phone? Let me see. Aside from Messenger and email that keeps blowing me up, I'm going to go... I need to have more fun apps on my phone. These are all work stuff. I'm going to go... Actually, I'm going to go TubeBuddy. So this is a super nerdy app. TubeBuddy is a thing that you can connect to your YouTube channel, and it'll help kind of like give you ideas for content and all these kinds of things. It'll basically walk you through like, hey, keyword trending and that kind of stuff. And I don't use it so much to plan content. I kind of just do whatever I want to do, regardless of if people want to watch it. But the reason that I like this is because you can search by keywords, and it gives you a sense of like, what are people talking about? I like that. It's just an interesting, like, where's the conversation at regarding X? And I've just always been very easily fascinated by what's everyone chatting about? What's going on in the world? Hey, what's up? I fall behind very quickly when it comes to the discussion. Like I was joking around earlier with Jack. I was like, Jack, I need you to explain to me like I'm 5 why everyone's mad about this. Because he's much more like in the scene with AOS news and competitive and that kind of stuff. And I was like, I don't get it. I need an adult. Dinner spinner, you can do stuff. I have beef and some veggies in 40 minutes. It'll give you a recipe. Oh, that's happening. Dinner spinner? Let me write that down, actually. We recently started doing Blue Apron just to like, we just got really tired of having the same meals all the time, so we wanted to try something different, and have absolutely loved it. So we're getting, I think Jess and I are really becoming like, not foodies in the sense of like want to try fancy things, and no, nothing like that. It was more just we just enjoy the act of cooking together. Just kind of hang out in the kitchen, decompress, talk about our days, that kind of thing. Okay, let's go with next question. It's a two-parter. Cutest animal and ugliest animal. For cutest, I'm a cat guy. I'm gonna go specifically snow leopard kittens. If you have never seen what an actual, let's see here. I'll throw this up on my screen. Boom. Frickin' adorable. Look at this guy, little hunter bot. Oh, I love him. Anyway, yes, that is me. That's my cutest. Let me see what the name is for the ugliest here, because I can't actually remember. Yes. I'm going to go with the often maligned and rightfully so, the star mole. The star-nosed mole. Ugly as sin. He's got what looks like a, I don't know, weaponized haunted vagina for a face. Yeah, that's the best I can describe it as. There's a pic if anyone is really super interested in it. So anyway, that's my example. Okay. Give you guys a second to get yours in. Ugliest blobfish. Interesting. Okay, coming out pretty good. We just need to do the highlights on the blue. Camel crickets. I have never heard of a camel cricket. I'm going to look that up. Oh, I've seen those. Well, maybe not in person, but I've seen kind of things. Yeah. They're huge. Spiders are the devil. I can get behind most animals. They tend to not bother me anyway. Even ugly stuff, as long as you're holding it. Cutest. Quagga, I've never heard of that. Right on. Now, my boy here has some pretty well-defined eyebrows, so I gotta go pick those out from when I was doing the face. I covered them all up with blue. Sweet. Just cleaning up some bits of the orange that I think I missed earlier. There we go. Mini Rex. Castor color bunnies. I don't know any of those things are. Okay. What is the strangest place you have ever been? Strangest place. I'm gonna give a few. One of them, a formal strange place, and the other one more just. I'm gonna put the word interesting. So the first one is the Mutter Museum of Medical Curiosities. It is, I believe it's on the East Coast. I went there when I was a kid. I can't remember what trip we did it on. We went to a few places, so I'm a little hazy on exactly where it was. Creepiest freaking place for a child to go. Oh man, there's so many weird exhibits there. Oh, it's so good. And when I say medical curiosities, it has everything from a tour of all the different terrifying medical devices that were used, to like a full breakdown of like, there's a whole collection of just like skulls, like, oh, these are from conjoined twins, and we have this because at the time we were trying to understand what conjoined twins were, so we went ahead and cracked their heads open to find out. And you're like, oh god. Medical history stuff tends to be terrifying and fascinating in equal measure. It's in Philly. That's right. Thank you. What else? Oh, the other one I was gonna say. So that's my favorite one, where they have like that, and they have like a guy all diced up and presented like he's a puzzle. You got to put them back together. I don't know. It's just all kinds of cool stuff, man. It's just all kinds of rad. Beyond that, my hometown was the first city in Kansas. There's a whole underground city. It was built for very racist reasons, but now it's cool to explore. That's super rad. My home, let's see. The other one was inside a septic tank. I was working at a camp in New Mexico for one summer, just because I wanted to get some worldly experience. Wanted to get out there and explore and stuff and all of that. And yeah, I worked at a camp in New Mexico. They needed me to hop in there and scrape the walls, and so I was like, all right. I am somebody that like, I'm a great teammate. How about that? The second someone's like, this is the terrible thing we need you to do, Doug, I'm like, all right, buddy, suit me up. Nothing grosses me out. I was a nursing assistant for a long time. I've seen every bodily function. It's been on me. I am unstoppable, especially when I'm wearing like a hazmat suit. I'm just like, oh yeah, dude, nothing's getting through this sucker. Got some water on the brush. Okay, number 40 on this list. What is the silliest fear that you have? And I'm gonna go first. This is a big one, okay? I'm terrified of whales. Like, not the idea of whales, but rather if I was ever fell out of a boat and like in a whale's vicinity, I think I would just crap myself and die. And the reason is their sheer size is so mind-boggling. And I suppose the actual fear behind whales is not so much whales themselves, but rather being in the water with something, which I think a lot more people can probably relate to. But the whales specifically, because of their size, their magnitude, they can accidentally kill you just with the sheer weight and force behind everything. The country? No, not the country of Wales. I don't think anyone's been scared of Wales, the country, for a long time. I think we're kind of past that. I think that's more of a mouse who roared situation. Yeah, I had an experience. I almost got my arm taken off by a croc when I was in high school on a trip. And yeah, I don't know. It's just the idea of just stuff in the water that I can't see because it is its own world. And then the idea of being dropped into that world. All of that stuff combined is terrifying to me. Black painted pool bottoms. Yeah, exactly. Yep, that's the kind of stuff too. We were like, what are you trying to hide? You trying to hide crocs? Trying to hide sharks? I'm onto your game. Of whales that can just kill you? Yeah, probably. I wouldn't put it past them. Okay. Here we go. Question 43 on this list. If you could give yourself a nickname, what would it be? And anyone, this is going to be very few of you, but anyone who has ever been bowling with me knows mine, which is, of course, Thin Mint. Douglas Thin Mint Griggs. Now, I hate mint, and I hate Thin Mints. But I love the idea of someone being like, you know, a cop like in a deposition or something, like asking about my aliases. Are you Douglas Thin Mint Griggs? Knowing I'm like 6'3", broad-shouldered and very overweight. Yeah, I'm Thin Mint. Papa Wheelie. I love it. Let's see. But yes, every time I go bowling, my nickname I put up on the scoreboard, Thin Mint, because then inevitably some announcer will, like, some guy who's not paid nearly enough to do what he does behind the counter is like, Thin Mint, your lane is ready, and I'm like, oh yeah, it is. I think we're ready to call this one done. Just gonna work in a little bit more. We're just gonna do a little bit of touch-ups here on the horns. I accidentally got some blue on them. Alright, let's see. What do I got? Oh, it's about 2-hour mark. Yeah, it's about where I wanted to hop off. What color should I do the eyes? I'm thinking yellow for the actual dragon's eyes. I like calling myself ridiculously long names to see if people attempt to read it out loud, but inevitably fail. See, my favorite thing to do, and this started in college, was I come up with fake nicknames for myself, and I tell people they used to call me that in high school, and it doesn't work like 75% of the time, but the times where it does, it's incredible. So like anytime I play volleyball with people, they used to call me the net in high school. Nothing got past me. And people were like, oh shit, Doug knows how to play volleyball like at a competitive level. And then they immediately see me biff in the sand, and it's like, wait, did they really call you the net? No. 25% of the time, it works every time. Exactly. But work or not, it's always fun. Get that paint off of me. All right. I think he's looking pretty fearsome. The dragon, the rider's a she. But I think we're going to call this one done. I got to paint up its buddy. I was just waiting on the Wraithbone paint, so now I can actually jump into that. That one requires a lot more dry brushing. I hadn't quite finished the dragon on the other one, but it feels good to have at least one done. So friends, I'm going to leave you there. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. A little fun Q&A thing. We can keep it going next time. If you're interested, let me know. And yeah, I will catch you all next time. Next week, probably starting on Tuesday, I'm going to be jumping into the lore of Maggotkin of Nurgle. Holiday stuff with family gets a little complicated. We're doing a partial Christmas this weekend, like tomorrow, so it kind of interrupts my writing schedule and recording. But we will jump in real quick with some Maggotkin to entertain you for the holiday season. So thank you all so much, and I will catch you all later. Happy wargaming.